So tonight I'm here with Dr. Hall and Dr. Wrye to talk about what's called Forever Young BBL, which is a broadband light treatment, therapy of sorts, and maybe you've seen it on national news programs, and it's been on a lot of talk shows being referred to as the fountain of youth. People seem to be in awe of it, so we're going to find out how it works tonight as a standalone treatment, as well as how it can work in conjunction with an actual facelift to get even better results. So let's start with the science behind it, Dr. Hall. They've done a lot of studies, clinical studies. They've had some great results. How does it actually work?
Well, Jen, I'll say the first thing that I would always want to make sure the patient is aware of, and I know Dr. Wrye feels the same way, is we are interested in having truth and honesty about what can and cannot be done. Nothing is perfect.
Right.
And there is no fountain of youth.
I know.
And so when we're
It's unfair.
when we're talking about facial rejuvenation, as with anything that occurs in plastic surgery, there's always going to be a lot of hype. There's always going to be a lot of, wow, this is the latest and the greatest. BBL is a pulsed light therapy, similar to laser therapy. But what happens is there is a light wave that's put onto a patient's skin that causes tightening of the skin. It can help reduce some of the signs of aging that we see. It is not, by any stretch of the imagination, a substitute for surgery. It's not a substitute for a facelift. It is something that can be done by itself, or it can be done in conjunction with surgery.
Right.
But it is something that we also would say can work very, very well, but it's not the end-all and be-all of making you be young.
Well, that's why it's important to come in for the consultations here, and I know you guys offer free consultations, but you have so many different options, other things besides the actual Forever Young BBL, other things besides surgery, and combinations of things where they can work together. So isn't that why you'd really always just want to talk to somebody about what's best for them anyway?
Absolutely. I think the really important thing to take home from this is that everyone's unique and everyone's different. Non-surgical treatments are typically geared toward making the skin appear more youthful, getting rid of the age spots, getting rid of the fine lines. That's completely different than a facelift, which treats laxity of the skin, the hanging down skin on the neck, the jowls, the marionette lines. Those are facelift candidates. But the reality is most patients come in and they say, hey, I saw this on TV, I want this, or I want a facelift. The reality is most patients that come in need both because their skin quality is deteriorated with age and sun damage and they have laxity. So most patients are going to get the best result when you combine a facelift, which treats the loose skin, and you treat them with the non-surgical treatments to make the skin look more youthful.
But I would also say, and I know Dr. Wrye would agree with this, that if somebody is not a candidate for a facelift,
Right.
we're not going to say, oh, you need to have a facelift.
Right.
In fact, we're saying you don't need a facelift. You might be a candidate
Right.
for another procedure like a BBL that is going to address the problems that it addresses.
Right.
I think the science that you were talking about with the BBL in combination with the facelift was a study that came out of California that showed, well, there might be some actual genetic changes in the makeup of the cells when they're treated with BBL. And I think that the two, if you're combining a facelift with a BBL, it can have adjunctive beneficence.
Right.
Is that a word? It's a new word.
We made
But
it
it
up
can
today.
be beneficial.
Well, it made
In an
perfect
adjunctive
sense.
manner.
It made perfect sense what you just said, Dr. Wrye. I mean, you've got loose skin and
Sure.
you've got sunspots and
Sure.
you've got aging skin, and one isn't going to fix one or the other is not
Absolutely.
going to fix the other. So I can certainly understand how both of them can solve both problems. But
Absolutely.
maybe you have a younger person that just
Right.
has sun damage
Sure.
and she doesn't have loose skin yet. So that's when it might be used alone.
I think what we're seeing in that instance a younger subset of patients that come in that just need non-surgical treatments. And what that probably does is it probably buys them years before they might require a facelift.
Right.
Might be 5 years, might be 10 years, it could be 15 years depending on how you've treated your skin.
So it's maintenance.
It's maintenance. And no matter what we do, it's always going to be maintenance, because we can reverse the hands of time or set the hands back, but that clock keeps ticking. And the sun damage keeps occurring, and we keep aging. And so there's not one treatment that we're going to do that you do it once and it's going to work forever. It's going to need to be maintenance in a series of treatments, and that's standard with anything that we do.
Nothing's perfect.
Right.
And
I'm perfect.
well, besides
I'm
Dr.
close.
Wrye,
Yeah.
but we want to make sure that you're getting the best thing that you can to treat the things that are bothering you the most.
Right. Would you say that when people have both of these treatments together, the facelift as well as the Forever Young BBL, would you say that you're getting results that are better than most things that we've had in the past? Is the technology superior? Do you feel that way?
Well, I think to step back and sort of reemphasize something Dr. Hall said, if a patient's going to benefit from both, in combination, it's a much more powerful tool than one of those things individually. So yes, and there's no question the technology's gotten better. 15 years ago, when Dr. Hall and I started, we could just blast somebody with a laser. And that was great for taking care of some wrinkles, but it really wasn't doing anything for the sun-damaged skin.
Right.
It wasn't doing anything for some of the other concerns that we have. So the technology has progressed rapidly and has allowed us to treat much greater array of patients, a much greater array of problems, with better success.
Well, and the other thing is, too, with the treatment that we're talking about now, this is like little to no downtime.
Yeah.
You're talking about zapping somebody with a CO2 laser.
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking about 6 weeks of your skin red and flaking.
Right.
And yeah, you could see what it did, but it's a tough price to pay.
Yeah. No, I read that this is zero downtime. You go right back to your activities. It's a
Sure.
15-minute treatment. I mean, it's kind of a breeze when you look at it in the grand scheme of things.
Just to give you a personal experience, it's not uncommon for Allie or one of the other estheticians, hey, Dr. Wrye, you're getting a little age spot. They pull me in between patients.
We call him age spot.
Yeah, they zap me, and then I go right back to seeing patients. I mean, that's it, the minimal, most amount of downtime you can imagine, right?
See, that's
literally in
incredible.
between patients, they're treating me.
And he hasn't aged a bit in 15 years.
I'm 100 years old.
Okay, now you guys are offering a promotion, which is pretty substantial, so tell us about that.
Actually, yes. Because of the data that's come out with this, what we've decided to do is to say we're going to get 4 BBL treatments with a facelift. So that's actually a significant savings.
Right.
When you're thinking about, oh, do I want to do a BBL on top of my facelift if I want to try to achieve those maximal results? We're going to include it.
So if they book a facelift with you, they get 4 BBL treatments at no charge. It's my understanding that's a $1,200 value. And the other thing I think that we haven't said yet that people should know is this BBL will work on not just your face. You can do it on your hands, your arms, your legs, any place where you happen to have some damaged skin. That can work. Thank you guys so much for showing up and educating us. And I love the promotion, $1,200 value. So that's a great asset to our viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Jen.